I mean, he's in great shape. He's mentally where we need him to be. He's thrown the ball very well. Had a really good day. He really did threw the ball very well. A couple days ago when we had practices, and he's been very sharp.
Cam is back. He's been very sharp. We know he's going to be looking sharp because that's what he does. I wonder what he's breaking out for his week 1 ensemble.
I know it's going to be a hat somewhere.
All right, it's time to run some hot routes now. And let's start with Cam Newton and this new throwing motion. So, look, you played quarterback.
Yes.
You played a little bit of everything. So will it make a difference, this new situation he has?
Well, I think at first, maybe his first couple of passes in the game, it might make a difference while it's fresh on his mind. I mean, he's a career 59% completion guy anyway, so he needs to have a more compact and efficient delivery anyway. But I'm going to say no. It won't make a difference, not in the long run. It's a big reason why most of the offseason they didn't have him do any 11-on-11 drills because they didn't want him to convert back to what he did most of his life, which is this longer delivery, which forces some inaccuracies. So I think he's going to have a decent season, but I don't think the new throwing motion is going to make much of a difference. Sorry, Cam.
Okay. All right, fair. D-Hall, let's talk about your old teammate, Trent Williams. So he's still holding out.
Interested in hearing this one.
Yeah.
Will we see him play a game for the Redskins this year? Tell me everything.
People want to know.
Yes.
Really?
Redskins fans, yes. I think
so?
at some point Trent Williams is back in that building. I think he's back a part of that football team, and I think he's out there helping protect whoever the quarterback is. If it's Case Keenum, if it's Dwayne Haskins later in the season. I think they come back because Trent's smart enough to understand at the end of the day, if they're not forcing him, if they're not going to allow him to be traded, correct? He has to play somewhere. He has to get this season under his belt. Maybe he comes back in the offseason in January, February and says, hey, I still want to be traded. Let's see if we can, come to an agreement.
Will he walk back in that training room, man?
I don't know if he walks back in that training room, but I know he walks back in that locker room and is a part of that football team this season.
This season?
Ooh. Yes. What week that is, we don't know. We've heard whispers about maybe week 2. We've heard whispers about maybe later on. I know he comes back before week 10 because he has to get that season in. I think we all know that part of the game plan. So we'll see exactly when that is, though. I'm constantly in communication with him, though. So I told you got to let me know first.
We got the info right here.
Yeah.
Let me know first, big dog.
We got a phone number. We're going to call in. The whole thing.
And then you do it here at this table.
Yes,
all right.
This table.
Redskins on Sunday are playing the Eagles across the bridge from here at Lincoln Financial Field.
Yes.
Colleen, so which new Eagles addition to the offense will make the biggest impact?
Okay, so I was going to go Myles Garrett, or Miles Sanders.
Well, that would have been wrong.
I was about to say
very wrong.
Very wrong.
Miles Sanders, because he's so explosive and his awareness is so
And he went to
great,
Penn State, and he worked with a Penn
Stater. Flying under the radar, wants to kind of get out there early and prove everybody wrong. No, I am not going that way. I'm going with Deshaun Jackson.
All right.
I know you like that.
I like
one.
that.
Because he's back in Philadelphia, where it all started. He's playing his former team, well, one of his former teams in the Redskins. And Carson Wentz, he's going to have time to throw because that offensive line is so good. It can keep him protected, and he'll be able to take some shots downfield for Deshaun Jackson for those Philly fans. They have to break out all of their old jerseys because they still have them.
Ain't many dudes run like D-Jack now.
No.
Yeah.
He'll keep the job for a while.
There we go. But definitely not Miles Garrett. He will not.
Definitely not.
Will not
for
be
the Eagles,
involved
no.
in that.
But he might come up later in the show.
He will. Okay, so Kyler Murray, he makes his debut on Sunday against the Lions. And the last quarterback picked number 1 overall to win his debut.
I was going to quiz you on that. David Carr back in 2002. Texas
I
beat
can't
the
believe
Cowboys.
you knew that.
I wanted to make sure you were paying attention to the meeting yesterday. Anyway, finish your
Since
question.
then, they're 0-11. Okay, so Garofalo, does Kyler Murray break that streak?
No! Are you kidding me? No. He will lose this game against the Detroit Lions. Actually, no, I got the wrong question. I thought it was not make the playoffs. No, that's something different. All right, so it's not. No, I will say the Detroit Lions go in there and give him fits. And no, they will not win this game on Sunday.
It's Detroit.
The streak continues.
It's Detroit.
Defensive head coach. Think he'll do a nice job of scheming up some things.
It's
that
Detroit.
Offensive line still needs work, despite the fact that they were actually trading offensive linemen away. I think that
it is Detroit,
That's
man.
what
You
I'm
got a
saying.
chance.
You got a chance.
You got a chance, and they have not seen a dude like Kyler Murray in this league, boy. I tell you what.
We'll reconvene next week.
I got you. He's special, though. I'm
Yeah.
telling
And if I'm right, I will let you know.
All right.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll play that
If I'm
back
wrong,
again.
I won't
No, he will bury that. He will destroy that tape forever. All right. So, first one.
There was a lot going through my mind at the time. So I probably didn't savor in the moment too much because I know it's one game and we've got a really tough opponent coming up next week, and you just got to take it week by week in this league.
They did the play a couple times and he missed it. One of the times he was open on it, and they did it again and they didn't hit it. So I'm saying if they line up there again, we're gonna get that play.
I feel like I made some good throws here and there, made good decisions for the most part, but I think it was just sloppy by myself and as an offense as a whole, just going through all our procedures, and it was just tough. We couldn't find a rhythm. So.
That new and improved Packers defense absolutely suffocated Mitch Trubisky all night. 19 quarterback pressures, 11 quarterback hits, and 5 sacks. And they did it against a Bears offense that finished top 10 in points per game last season. But that's last season. This is this season now. Right, so that doesn't even matter anymore. Mitch Trubisky, he just looked uncomfortable all night, and that never really changed. He was missing reads. He could have been intercepted many more times, quite frankly. So they were just off, I think, that offense. And I felt like Matt Nagy sort of got a little too, cute.
He got fancy.
Yeah.
He got fancy. It got real high school, college style a little bit, a lot of read, a lot of pulling stuff. And I mean, the reason we're so frustrated is, one, we didn't expect Green Bay's defense to be as good as they were. And two, we expected the Chicago Bears to be a little bit better. We expected Mitchell Trubisky to have progressed a little bit more. I think we also are a little kind of confused at how bad, not bad, but just the lack of offense that Green Bay had. But we know at the end of the day, that's Aaron Rodgers. They'll get it figured out. And we know that Bears defense is really, really good. And so, it's a lot to talk about, but a lot of it had to do with the defenses. And, obviously, like I said, we just didn't see what we thought we were going to see with the progression of Mitch the next year, which is this year.
Do you like to see a game like that?
I don't mind. I mean, I'm a defensive guy. I like defensive guys making plays, but I want to see points too. I'm like a normal fan. I'm just like you guys at home.
Like everybody else.
I want to see touchdowns too.
I think Matt Nagy's still a young coach. I think he learned a valuable lesson. He still has a young team.
Yes.
And at the end of the day, what Mitchell Trubisky, 3 snaps in all of the preseason, and they were 3 handoffs. I think what we saw last night was Mitchell Trubisky and this Chicago Bears offense, including Matt Nagy himself, the play caller, going through preseason. I mean, it was 10 penalties from this team, 20 penalties through the entire game. It was a sloppy game, but specifically the Chicago Bears, I thought it was too much on Mitchell Trubisky's plate. You mentioned the term trying to get too cute. That's exactly what it was. They started the game with 3 running backs, and it was a fumble on the very first play, trying to be a little too cute. Sometimes, guys, we can't overthink this thing, okay? Sometimes you can just line up in the eye and run
them in the mouth. Yep.
Sometimes you can just, if you're a shotgun team, line up in the shotgun and just run your read option and do what you're going to do. But don't overthink things, and I think as we go through preseason and you see how other teams do with their star quarterbacks and their star players and things like that, coaches seem to think, I'm going to hold my guys back too. That's why I love the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick don't care. You know what, Tom Brady, you're going to get you some snaps. You know why? Because I don't want you to look that way on the first game of the season. And I just thought that this was a learning experience for Matt Nagy and the Chicago Bears.
One thing that felt off to me about their offense is they've used multiple running backs before.
Yeah.
Okay? It's not like they have a bell cow. But last year it felt like from week to week, as you got into the course of the game, you knew who was going to be featured in this backfield. I didn't feel that last night. The snap counts were 51 for Cohen, 28 for Montgomery. Davis had 41 snaps. It didn't feel like he knew which way he wanted to go with that backfield last night. So I would say that if you start to figure that out, I'm not saying you got to run the ball with all these guys, but figure out some things to cut down on the number of passes that we're talking. Control the game.
You're absolutely right.
From the backfield,
Tyreek Cohen, I think they had 10 targets on him last night. He had like 8 receptions for only 40-something yards with 0 rushes. Yeah. He's a running back, change of pace running back, and it seemed like to me they were trying to feature him as a focal point in this game plan as opposed to last year. It was Jordan Howard as the focal point. And he was just kind of a change-up. I think they need to go back to something like that. Make David Montgomery and Mike Davis the feature backs, and then you have Tariq Cohen as a complementary piece to what they're doing in the run game.
Yeah, but it was just entirely too sloppy. There were
it was a preseason game, guys. I'm sorry.
Many
I don't know if
penalties.
you guys want to say it that way, but
there was a span of 5 plays where the Bears had 2 delay of game penalties in 5 plays.
Yeah,
that's just unacceptable.
I mean, I saw Green Bay come out of a TV timeout, and the play clock runs down, and Aaron's like, not again. You know, like, come on, guys. Like, we got to be better than that. That's the cardinal sin is we don't waste a timeout when we just came off a TV timeout.
That's bad.